Hey there, Bruce the Budget Aquarius here. Good morning to you. Snowy Saturday here in the northern Indiana, southern Michigan area that I am. And, yeah, well, it's winter. Take the good with the bad. I've done a couple short videos lately about my electric blue Acara babies, when talking about fish and do they sleep or not. I'm going to go into a little bit more than a 2-minute video, a little more in depth in this one, talking about some things that are going on in my fish room, breeding projects that I have, and then also things that just make the hobby interesting to me. In particular, oddities in fish. I have a couple of things that are turning out to be quite odd, at least amongst my fish. In particular, an electric blue Acara that has some sort of dwarfism. It's extremely small in comparison to its siblings. And then also a brown bristlenose plecostomus, long fin, that has very unusual fins that you'll see. And again, I'm not saying these are unheard of in the hobby, just that out of literally hundreds, in case of plecos, thousands of fry, these were big time oddities. So again, they're things that keep the hobby enjoyable to me more than just going down and feeding the fish every day. So thanks for your time. As always, please comment if you have a video you want to share. Feel free to link it down below. That's fine with me. And if you're new and feel like subscribing, fantastic. If you want me to take a look at your channel, please comment, and I will be happy to do so. And if I like your content, I'll be subscribing to you. So thanks so much for your time, guys. We'll talk to you soon. Have a good day. All right, guys. First things first, I wanted to take a look at my bicher, and that's how it's pronounced according to most dictionaries I can find. It's a soft I, like in the word kit, bicher, as compared to biker or bicher. But anyways, this is a Senegal bicher. He's real nice fish, probably 8 inches long or so, maybe a little longer. But he has recently figured out that I'm not going to hurt him. And as you can see here, he's eating bloodworms right off the end of some tweezers that I have. So just thought I'd show you that if you've never had one of these. Very, very cool. It will eat most small things that you have, guppies and stuff like that, but it will eat all food, and anything it can't get in its mouth, it won't bother. So just wanted to share that one with you. Okay, here the little guys are, and I want to explain the difference to you between a Julii and a false Julii. Now, if you notice the dots on the face, they're connected and form like geometric patterns, and that's an indication that is a false Julii. Julii is Julii, by the way, but the real Julii has dots on its face, but they are not connected. They're individual spots, like a Dalmatian. So that's the difference. But anyways, I've got these guys in here, and they are a known breeding pair. I just have moved them over here since I wasn't doing anything else with this tank, because I'm taking a little break on plecos while I grow some out. But I'll let these guys lay their eggs, and then I'll move them out into a different tank so they don't eat them, which they are notorious for doing. Other than that, not much in here. There's a few baby Acara grow outs down in there that are so tiny you can't even see. But they're just in there to separate them from the other ones in order to keep them safe in case the mother happens to eat them in the other tank, which she often does. Moving over to my actual Acara tank, which has the dad right there, and there's babies down at the bottom. Sorry, tomorrow's tank cleaning day. A little bit of algae growth on some stuff. There's mom, and she's notorious for eating these babies. So in the past, yeah, dad on the left, mom on the right there. They share the tank with some of these Hillstream loaches. There's 3 of them in there. But anyways, yeah, a couple guppies to keep things clean. I took some out, like I said, some of the babies out just to keep them safe in case the mom decided she was going to eat them. I'm trying to break her of the habit, so I want to leave her in there, but they just more and more of them disappear every day. Unfortunately, it's nature taking its course there. So, but they're doing great and going to get at least good 20 babies out of there, which is what I wanted. This is just a small 20-gallon. If you've seen my videos before, I always keep a lot of plants growing so I can move them around from tank to tank as I need. And this is kind of the hospital tank. It's one of the few tanks I may occasionally add a little bit of fertilizer to. In general, otherwise I don't. But I keep a lot of guppies in here because these things are great, particularly in case you get any algae on your plants in other tanks, for example. If you move them over, they will eat it. Now, if you look at this plant, there's not much there, but if you look at some of those leaves, you will see the start of some of that brownish color. That's not leaves dying. That is actually just a bit of algae growing on them. If I take those plants out, just tuck them down into the substrate here, within a day, those guppies will eat every bit of that brown algae off the substrate, pick those leaves clean. Now, this is very handy if you have tanks where you want to feed a lot, but you can't clean a lot, or if you have tanks where you can't keep guppies in there because they get eaten. For example, in this tank, the mother guppies are okay, but if you put males in there or babies, they get eaten. So there you go. All right, moving on over to this tank here. This is my leaf fish tank. A couple leaf fish in here. This is a perfect example. If you notice, it's kind of a green algae. There's brown algae in various places. That's because I can't keep any other fish in here. I overfeed these guys. I have Coriodoris in there to help with the eat up the extra food, but the plants do get some algae on there, and I can't do anything about it. I can't keep enough guppies in there to keep them cleaned up. So that being said, the thing I really want to show you in this tank, in addition to my couple leaf fish, is that little guy right there. And that is the baby, well, it's not, it's a baby size electric blue Acara. And I'm going to show you here in a little bit. It's one of its siblings. There you go. Now look at the size of that thing. I'll try and film them when they're closer together so you can see them closer together. This is actually a smaller one out of the brood too, but it's obviously nowhere near as small as this one is. See if they'll go over and get near each other here. This thing, if you look at that sponge filter there on the left hand side, oh, there you go. That's a perfect example. Okay, those are the same age fish. That little guy there, it's healthy, eats fine. All its bodily functions seem to be fine. No deformities, no sunk stomach, no fin issues. A couple more of my Corys in there. They're hoping to get over there and breed with that other that female. But yeah, so this Acara is really very interesting. It just is not very big. Its color is great. Like I said, the fins are great on it. It's a very, very interesting fish in that it has just always been small, and it looks like it's going to stay small. So my hope is that this can be one of those oddities where I have an odd fish, and maybe I can breed that very small size in to the next generation. Look at that size. That's just a regular little air tube coming out of a little sponge filter. So that shows you how small that is. Really an interesting thing. And again, one of those reasons why I love to be in this hobby. The Acara do get along with the leaf fish, by the way. Leaf fish will eat pretty much anything that they can get in their mouth, but they don't bother the Acara. So, Moving over to this tank here. This tank is up for one reason and it has nothing to do with this. This is just obviously Java moss growing out. I've got some zebras growing out in there, and who knows, as I grow out more and more moss, maybe I'll get lucky someday and get some viable babies from the zebras. But you never know. I'm not trying. This is what I want to show you, and this is why I have this tank going right now, and that is solely to support this fish right here. This is a brown pleco that was, or I guess you could call him a plain. That was a baby from a brown longfin male and an albino female. Now, if you notice those front fins, how they're curled, that is its natural state, the way it looks. Even when it's not hanging there, so in other words, if it swims down to the bottom of the tank, those things still point up in the air like that. And I noticed this as it was growing up, that it had this abnormality. And that's why I'm keeping it, and that's why I'm babying it, have it in its own tank away from any competition. So it's got a ton of plant material to eat, lots of, but I do give it some nutritious meat, proteins also. And I just want to grow that fish out and see again if I can kind of breed that abnormality in to a future generation. All right, bouncing back past my bicher tank. He's back up where he likes to be, laying in wait to see what's going to happen. But I wanted to move over here to this tank to also show you I'm growing out 3 other fish in here. And that is these Farlawella catfish or twig catfish. They go by a variety of names, but there are 3 of them in here. They're very hard to find, obviously, because they're long and skinny and they hide. But I check once a week and actually locate all 3 to make sure they're still alive. And they are, and they're doing great. And those things have to be, from what I understand, a couple years old in order to breed and much bigger to sex. So we'll see what happens there. Okay, moving on. This tank has, well, obviously guppies in it, but primarily they're just keeping the tank in shape while I decide what to do with it next. There are about a half dozen grow out long fin bristlenose plecos in here. They're all brown, but they were ones, again, that before I get rid of them, I always pick through and really examine them to see if anything has spectacular colors. There's one in here that's really all dark, very dark, almost black on its whole body, which none of the other ones were. Several with really nice fins, particularly a couple with big broom-like tail fins that are really beautiful. And this is kind of the next step, when you've been breeding a particular type of fish for a long time. It's sort of a logical next step to try to find some that are identical and then breed those, interbreed them, breed them back with the parents, the grandparents, etc., and try to develop things. Now this one here, we'll have to wait a second for it to move, but it has a very interesting, I call it a defect, but just kind of an interesting thing about it, and that is its tail. There we go. That's the one I'm trying to find. And let me loop that a few times for you so you can see it. But its tail actually grows almost backwards. The top portion grows down and the bottom portion of the tail grows up. It's very interesting. So it also is just something that I found unusual. Don't know if you call it a birth defect or just some other genetic variance to the fish. It's not affecting its growth at all, and it's happy and healthy, so that's all that matters to me. And I'll keep growing these out. And moving over to Nemo's tank. Yeah, I know, real original name, but that's what we like to call him. Um, he's a big old mean fish, boy or girl, we don't know. Won't let any other Oscars live with it, but he's nice enough. He lets some little yellow lab babies grow out under the log, and he doesn't work too hard to try and kill them. Given a chance, he'll eat them, but not real likely. He doesn't chase after him too much. But there's two females, one male yellow lab in this tank, and they were holding. There's the male right there. Females were holding, and I think one of them is again actually. But she held those things for a long time, actually probably a month or close to 32 or 33 days before she spit them out. It was amazingly a long time. They were very well developed before she did. There's one back there. She's hiding. Probably is holding, because that's what they tend to do when they're holding babies in their mouths, like mouth breeders do. But yeah, so he lets those live. Notice I put big wads of live plants at the top of this tank because they're great for the fish and for the water. But Nemo will not let anything live fish-wise down at the bottom of the tank. You can actually see that little white scar at the top of his dorsal fin because he recently, threw a fit and was trying to move something and scratched his fins. But anyways, there's another look at that. In my opinion, an exceptional example of a beautiful male yellow lab. He's a beauty. Great, great, great color. Oh, here comes a clown loach in, make his little appearance. They know when I'm down there. There's another one that hides back on the log. It's another clown loach that's bigger. But they pretty much only come out when it's feeding time. But in the plants, I've noticed that you talk about an old fish that doesn't care about being aggressive anymore. He lets the baby guppies. He lets the guppies spawn right in here. You can see a few of them moving around. And he doesn't bother trying to eat them at all. Couldn't care less. I just fed him, so quite a bit of food in there. But yeah, so that's kind of cool. It's its own nice little environment. And if he won't let plants grow on top or down in the substrate, he'll at least let them grow there. Now this is the sad one. If you look at this fish, it appears it has bloat. This is my third African leaf fish. And it's just bizarre. I don't know what to do with this fish. No other fish in its other tank exhibited any signs of bloat. You can read about bloat. It's a parasite and kind of blocks up their insides that I can't figure out anything else that it is. But the interesting thing is that it continues to eat, and I just don't know what to make of it. I've been treating it with a variety of medicines. I can't get it to eat anything like shelled peas, which some people say is a great way to cure this bloat. It won't touch them, but it does eat, and it's out and it's swimming, and so time's going to tell if this is going to kill this fish, which it's so bloated. I'm guessing it's probably going to, or not, but it is being treated with really three different kind of things that just don't seem to be doing any good for it. So we'll see what happens. So that's about it for today in this update. Thanks very much for watching. Let's do a quick scan of the fish room, and you can see how I have it set up, which is just in a nice U shape. So people can come down and sit in the chairs and with very little movement get a nice view of all the tanks. You guys, thanks again for watching, and take care. And I look forward to talking to you again.